Selected to the 2008 class of Kansas Master Farmers, Master Farm Homemakers are Barry and Carla Bortz, whose crops and cattle operation can be found a few miles south of Preston in south central Kansas. Barry and Carla met while both were attending Kansas State University, he earning his agronomy degree there, she her animal science degree. And right away, upon graduation and marriage, they returned to the crops and cattle operation that has deep Bortz family roots in eastern Pratt County, which has evolved into a progressive cow-calf feeder and crop production enterprise called CB Farms.
I rented a quarter grass and a quarter farm ground, I believe, when I was a sophomore in high school. Dad had got out of the cow business, so I started background in cattle. Then that's how I made my college money.
I've been actively involved in the farm with my family, and so I would just come and help him and help his dad get on the combine, and I could run the machinery. I knew what I was getting into.
We bought a quarter right out of college, and that was with some FHA money and the beginning farmer program. Every 4 or 5 years it seems like there's another chunk comes up that we add. One thing led to another. We used to just be background in calves. And in 2000, we decided we needed to switch to a cow-calf operation. We couldn't compete with the feedlots, and we'd started our cattle pens. And so then once we had our own cow-calf, well, then we got into finishing, and the registered herd came with some land that we rented from a local doctor. We just absorbed that and then took it another step. We can grow corn, wheat, beans, milo, alfalfa. The cotton is a relatively new experience for us. We're probably in our 5th year of experimenting with cotton. The majority of the grains leave the farm. We will feed about maybe 30% of the corn we grow on farm. Irrigated corn has treated us very well. Irrigation really got started in this area in the mid-70s. My granddad had his first well in 55, I believe. In general, my family's been early adapters. My dad dealt with white corn all the time I was in high school and college. He had some of the first big grain bins in the area. So the family's been relatively progressive.
I'm hands-on with the cows, do all the tagging, well, not all of it, take care of all the books, make sure all the bills are paid. I keep everyone fed, clothed, and stuff like that. But
she runs a restaurant. I mean, everybody eats here at noon. Yeah, we can have 7 to 8 guys here at noon.
We always just like to sit down and talk. This is kind of our get-together time at noon. I do a lot of corn planting, do a lot of planting, cultivate, and do whatever it needs to do. A couple of years ago, I was a co-chair on the school bond. We were able to pass a school bond to build a new school at Pratt. That took a lot of time, a lot of research with architects and so forth, and then getting out and campaigning to get the vote.
We're both on the local Farm Bureau board. We were on the state YF&R committee. At one time, I was on the use value committee, the state appointed committee. I was on the Lower Ark River Basin Advisory Committee, and at one time I even thought I had political aspirations. But I think at that point in time it would have been for the wrong reasons. It would have been more for an ego trip. And if I was to get back into it, it would probably be a little more for the right reasons. Brandon, he graduated in December, and he always has had a tremendous passion for sports. And I guess we do as a family think that in today's world, they may have a bigger place in kids' lives than they did previous because of the work ethic and discipline. People still allow a coach to discipline the kid and demand some work out of him. And we find it hard for a lot of kids to develop work ethic without sports. But our kids had it because of the farm. But anyway, he's always had that sports passion. When he gave up football, he decided to get into umpiring. He just did the professional umpiring school. And he's working on his master's right now.
I found that each of our kids want to blaze their own trail. Amber, her passion is nursing. She's very strong. She could outlift half, if not more, of the Pratt high school football team. That caught the eye of the rowing coach, and she ended up on the rowing team. And she took a bunch of college classes while she was in high school. So she actually went up there as a sophomore. In order to row, she had to stay eligible by taking so many hours towards a major. So she declared business as a major, and that's how she'll get a degree in business, hopefully in May.
And then go to nursing school.
Then go to nursing school. The one thing the kids do bring is the new generation of technology, and they just have this sense about them. When they put the GPS stuff on the tractor, they just knew certain things, or where to look for certain things.
They're intuitive about it. Like, I was intuitive looking for idler pulleys on the front of a Ford engine. I just knew where there had to be a bolt. Well, Darnell gets in and he says, well, there's got to be a push button here that does this for you. And so their intuitions are different because they grew up at a different time. And literally we talk about we got to wait until our IT guy gets home, and then we can correct the auto steer or the computer or those kind of things.
He wants to go into business also, more of a finance. He likes to watch stocks. He has his own stock portfolio, and you ask him any day of what a company's doing, he could probably tell you.
We've always encouraged the kids to go out and work for somebody else for 4 or 5 years at least before they made a return decision. But we want to keep the avenues open, that if they would want to come home, they could. The
kids have partnership in the farm.
When we rented our last farm, we put each kid in on that farm for 10%. They didn't get paid. They had to work for their share of the farming, but they have to make their own marketing decisions and have to call the co-op and make their own contracts. And they learn the vocabulary and the contacts. If they want to come back, they know it. And then I never was involved in a partnership, and I thought that was a shortcoming. And so I wanted my kids to experience that you could have 90% of the benefits with maybe only a third or half of the investment. Probably the biggest reason was for the education for them from a business standpoint. The next farmers will be business people. Grandpa had to understand animals and crops, and my dad learned to understand machines and repairs and people and crops. And we've adapted technology, and even with college degrees, my generation was probably a little slow to be businessmen. You know, we don't say we're in business, we still say we're farmers. Well, maybe we should say we're solar energy conversion specialists or something like that, and break it down a little more and say that we operate in business.
Barry and Carla Bortz of Pratt County. Master Farmer, Master Farm Homemaker, class of 2008.